being a mom is not the end of the world. I
Yeah.
think really for us new moms or from us moms, we always want things to be, perfect. We always want everything to be arranged. We need to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes just take a breath, just take a pause. It's okay for the house not to be organized. It's okay for choose your battles wisely. I tell
Yeah.
myself, choose your battles wisely. I remember I know people always say all the X and Y's that we've been finding in school, where has the Y? Like how has it helped us? It's because you haven't sat down and thought about it critically to say maybe that complex solution, like this
Yeah.
is the complex problems that we have.
Yeah.
It must not come in the form of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
It's this uncertainties that we have that we need to sit and look for the solutions. I think gardening actually teaches you a lot of life lessons like patience, to see something that you start from
Mm-hmm.
just a tiny little seed grow up to be something flourishing. I think it also allows you to um acknowledge God in a separate, in a special way, to be like,
Yeah.
oh wow, how, like I don't know, like there's just this fulfillment each time I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, this is my tiny seed of paper. Look at, I have been harvesting you for the last, wow,
And you're
wow.
eating your own food like from the ground.
I think one of the people that have inspired me is my grandmother. I could ask her for any book and she would buy, but if I ask for a new dress, she wouldn't buy.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Hear Her Voice. My name is Lorraine Shu and I am your host. Today we have an amazing guest. She is a research and analysis professional. She's a mom, she's a content creator, and she's a passionate cook and gardener. My goodness, her profile is so heavy. So if you are a mom, an aspiring mom, or a professional who is also a mom, I mean, this episode is for you and you want to be here. So I'm still going to give her the opportunity to introduce herself. She's going to tell us her name and give us a little bit of details about her. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Lauren, for having me. It's really been a long time. I am happy to be here, and I hope that during this conversation, someone will be inspired by what I'm going to say. And if not, please feel free to leave a comment so that we will work on ourselves later on. So my name is I am Azinwi, as Lauren said. I am a research and analysis professional, but my focus is really on publications. I work with the UN and I do publications. We do produce this biannual publication on school meals, which is something that I'm passionate about. I have been working on that for the past 5 years. In general, I would say if I go back in time, I am a banker by training, but I left that part of my life a long time ago, and I'm now into humanitarian work. Of course, I like cooking. I like kids. I have two daughters, which is one of the reasons why I do what I do as a person.
It's actually amazing that you are a research analysis professional because when I was going through your your profile, I realized that you actually had a degree in banking and
Yes.
finance, and then from there you went on to have your master's degrees in a different course entirely. So, can you walk us through your journey into becoming?
I mean, if you're any person graduating in Cameroon or from any secondary school in Cameroon, your choices of the kind of life you want to live or the kind of course that you want to do at a university is quite limited. I would say limited in terms of exposure
Yeah.
because not everyone has access to information around what courses you should take and how does it link to career, what are the opportunities that if you take this course. So for me, when I finished my A levels, which is the exams that you take before getting to the university in Cameroon, we had very limited options, or I had very limited options. It was either banking and finance or management or accounting. And I opted to do banking and finance, and mostly because I was lured, or I thought that it was a lucrative job. I always admired those people who wore suits to the bank. So it was really one of those white collar things that
Yeah.
I already pictured myself in heels and walking into the bank. But then when I graduated, I was looking for a master's degree program. I actually registered for a master's in banking and finance. Then I came across a poster. I think it was a call for a scholarship or so, and they were asking people who are interested in development fields and who had experience or something around that sort. And I was like, well, isn't this an opportunity for me to, change my lane or do something different? Plus, it's a scholarship. What's there to lose? So that's how I got myself into development work, and I did
Yeah.
my first degree, my first master's degree at the University of Yaoundé too, SWA. I did Économie royale et agroalimentaire. That's the long name in French.
Yeah.
And when I finished that, I began to see my passion. Like in all of that, I found out that I really there was a question mark around food security in the rural areas. We
Yeah.
have a lot of food. Why is it that we still talk about malnourishment or undernutrition in Cameroon when we really have in abundance? And during that time as well, I did work in different rural communities, and you could see the problem really in front of you to say, how children were malnourished despite us having, like, food stuff. Like there was a lot of food, but you still see malnourishment. So my question was, why? And I got another scholarship to do, that's the Chevening scholarship, to do another master's in food security and development.
Wow.
So just to understand what's the relationship between food security and development, what's lacking.
Yeah.
And I mean, the masters did answer a few questions, few of my questions. Of course, they're still open-ended questions that I need to understand. That's a story for another day. But that's how I moved from banking and finance to development.
Yeah.
So it was just the opportunity came at the right time, and I decided to take the bull by its horn. So, yeah.
Wow, that's truly amazing. And we'll also like to know, like, going through your profile again, because I did my homework. I got to realize that you are currently working with the World Food Program. My goodness. Okay, those are dream jobs for so many people. And yes, I mean, we obviously understand that getting these master's degrees and, especially going through the Chevening scholarship, it obviously opens doors to
Yeah.
like international opportunities. So, what was your journey from that point, from that Chevening scholarship to getting to work with the WFP? Because after the Chevening scholarship, people are usually required to come back to the country.
Yes.
So, what were your next steps? Because I also saw that you've worked on projects with the African Union. Like you've had quite
Yeah.
an international, exposure career-wise.
Um, I I always say that maybe I am still strategic in the things that I do, but I've always been very strategic and focused in what I want to do. When I got the Chevening scholarship, so the Chevening, for those who don't know, by the way, it's open for applications right now. If you go to www.chevening.org, you would find more information about Chevening for you to apply whenever it's you want to apply. But when I got the scholarship, at that time my interests were around school feeding. I really liked school feeding. I wanted to understand what's the impact of school feeding, on the broader community, on children and all of that. And when I got the Chevening scholarship, I went there to say I want to work around school feeding. I want to work for WFP, and I want to do an internship around school feeding. So like my research theme was already established
Yeah.
even before I went for Chevening
Okay.
scholarship. And fortunately, when I got to my university, University of Reading in UK, the university had like a pocket of money for people who wanted to do research
Okay.
or who wanted to do field research for their dissertation. So that's how I said, oh, maybe this is an opportunity. Which country is currently doing school feeding that which WFP country
Yeah.
is currently doing school feeding that it's not, how will I say, there's no conflict, like it's stable for me to go
Yeah, a
and
stable
do, yeah, a stable
country.
country. and I stumbled on Zambia. And at that time, I told my supervisor, "Oh, I want to go." By the way, I didn't know anyone in Zambia though. I said, "Oh, I want to apply." I applied for the grant in my uni. I got the grant, and yeah, I reached out to. This is another story. I reached out to. I went on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
checked who is working in WFP Zambia. I got a few names. I reached out to a few of them. A few of them didn't respond as usual. That's fine.
Yeah.
But one person responded. I said, "Oh, if you're interested, you can reach out to so and so person, and they would, give you more information." So I got the email of that so and so. I reached out to them. They said they don't do internship right now because they don't have any funding for interns.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I don't mind. I have my own personal funds
Yeah.
that I would, fund myself. And that's how I got my internship with WFP Zambia.
Oh.
So I think it was me being strategic in what I wanted and how I wanted it done, because I knew that if I gained this international exposure on this thematics, maybe this is how I'm then going to transition into WFP or any other agency that does school feeding.
Yeah.
This is not to say that WFP, once you do an internship, it's an automatic recruitment.
Yeah.
It was just my own
It
opportunity
just
that
happened,
came at that
yeah.
time. It's more or less like you doing an internship in a bank and doing an internship with a microfinance. So like there is two different the aftermath of that
Yeah.
internship differs. So that's how I was. Yeah.
When I look at your journey, your career journey is so strategic. I mean, you were so intentional at every step, and for some reason, like everything was just working out for
Yes.
you. So you're also a mom. Okay, so I just want to find out from you, like, when did you become a mom? Is it while you were in Zambia, or how did you connect the dots?
I know. So I became a mom when I was in Zambia. My of course I was doing long distance relationship. My partner was in Cameroon and I was in Zambia. So I mean, we always found time to meet somewhere along the line. There was always a compromise. So I became my mom in Zambia. And yeah, it was not really easy being pregnant in a foreign country alone. I was quite alone. Of course, my partner would come and go, but then it's different from having your partner full time
I
with
know.
you. So it was really a challenging moment. And I think that I always like to bring God into the conversation, that there is always, like, he always aligns things for your good, because it was the smoothest first pregnancy you can. I didn't have any morning sickness. I didn't have any headache. I wasn't admitted for anything. I did anything that I wanted to do. So it was like God just knew that I cannot be sick in a foreign land pregnant.
He must be God's favorite baby.
I know, like he was just like, girl, I got you. Do what you want to do. So it was, yeah, I got pregnant. I had my first baby in a foreign country. But it was nice.
Wow. So how were you able to manage taking care of your baby in a foreign land? Your partner came every now and then. How was also that experience? I mean, him coming and going, you being in a foreign land, plus work. How are you able to?
It's not always easy. So my first daughter, when I had her in Zambia, I moved back to Cameroon to be with my partner. We were home for a bit, and then I got an opportunity to work in Italy. Then my daughter was still, let's say, 10 months, I think. And I think that was, I questioned every part of my life. I questioned whether it was really worth it. Why am I doing this thing? Like, I questioned really everything. I questioned my intelligence. I questioned my ability to make any decision. Like, I really questioned so many things. And I was excited for the role. I mean, that was my second international job.
Yeah.
And I remember telling my husband that I don't think I'm going to take this job. One of the reasons was, when the excitement had settled, I thought to myself, okay, so am I going to leave my daughter in Cameroon and go to Italy, or am I taking her to Italy? If I'm taking her to Italy, how am I going to settle in, given that Italy is not English speaking and it's just a new country on its own, and I'm going to be alone, and like all of these questions came to my mind, and then I was like, oh, maybe I can ask my mother-in-law to come
Help
along with
us.
me and all of that. And luckily, she accepted to say, "Oh, it's
Really?
fine if you need me to support you while you do this thing. I am 100% ready." And I told my when I had my interview then for the job, I told my boss directly that, oh, I have a baby, and he was like, fine. I did not. I fine if you have a baby, fine.
Yeah.
So when the time came for the visas, I think we had a bit of delay back and forth because my daughter and myself, we had like a pretty easier process to get a
Yeah.
visa, but then my mother-in-law didn't. I remember just getting the news that, oh, my mother-in-law, like, it's going to be more complex, and I was like, you know what, I was this close, like this close at turning down the offer. And yeah, it's and then out of a sudden we figured out how it's going to be feasible, and yeah, we got the visa,
Yeah.
three of us, myself, my mother-in-law, we went to Italy. I don't think it's always easy, but I think when once you're determined and once you have God by your side,
Yeah.
I think everything always plays
Mm-hmm.
out for you in the long
Yeah.
run. And I wouldn't say it was easy being in Italy because my mother-in-law didn't stay with us for forever. She was just there for like three
I was
months.
just about to ask, like, how long was the
Yeah,
contract?
my mother-in-law was in Italy for 3 months, and I was supposed to be in Italy for 11 months, technically beyond 11 months anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But technically I was supposed to be there for 11 months. So when she left, I remember before she left, we had moved houses like three or four houses. So before she left,
Really?
I had not gotten my own personal space.
Yeah.
Like we lived in Airbnb, we lived in like it was that crazy. And
Yeah.
I remember saying I really look miserable. I really look miserable because I have a baby. I don't have a permanent place to stay. I have to go to work. You're going to work, you're also thinking of where am I going to,
To
like, I need to
stay.
find it. My I cannot pay this amount of money in an
Yeah.
Airbnb again. I need to find it. You have to leave work, you have to go and scout for houses, you have to take the baby for medical runs, you have to and then again it's not an English speaking place. So
Oh, that's a lot.
yeah, it's you have to also hop on trains, you have to
Mm-hmm.
jump into a bus, you have to lift the strollers here and there. I looked miserable. I would say I looked really miserable, but I it came to a point where I said, you know what, Azinwi, I think you need to put in place systems. It's okay for things not to be in order as long as you and the baby are fine.
Yeah.
So I think that's when it dawned on me that I think I'm going to get into depression, or I think I'm going to just run mad in this place. And I started outsourcing some of the things I wanted to do. For example, cleaning. I was like,
Yeah.
nah, I'm not cleaning anymore. I started looking for someone to clean, do laundry. So that gave me few hours to just sit down and have a coffee with myself or with the baby while someone else is doing the laundry and all that. So it really helped to say, um, being a mom is not the end of the world. I
Yeah.
think really for us new moms or from us moms, we always want things to be, perfect. We always want everything to be arranged. We need to see the light at the end of the tunnel. We
Mm-hmm.
sometimes just take a breath, just take a pause. It's okay for the house not to be organized. It's okay for choose your battles wisely. I tell
Yeah.
myself, choose your battles wisely. If it's time for me to be a mom, let
Mm-hmm.
me be a mom. If it's time for me to be a corporate body, let me be a corporate body. If it's like I just choose those things and put everything in their own boxes. And once it's time for me to be a wife, I put on the wife hat. When it's
Yeah.
time for me to be a mom, I put on the mom
Yeah.
hat. So it's that kind of arrangement. I don't know. I have gone round and round and round, but I think you get the gist.
Yeah, so I totally relate because that's one thing that causes burnout in people when you don't accept the season you're in. Because I went through that same process. I actually got to a point where I had to say that, okay, fine, I'm a mom, I cannot do anything else, I just have to be like this. So I just had to accept my fate. So now you are back to the country. your contract has ended and you are here now. How do you feel being back home? And how can you compare your experiences back home and when you were, abroad?
It's completely different. There is the saying that the child is raised by you gave birth to the child, but the village raises the child. So I think the difference is in abroad you don't have that village.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier for me to just say, oh, maybe tell my neighbor, please, can you, I know times are different, we have different behaviors that are out there, but we don't have that village abroad, and you find that village here. It's easy
Mm-hmm.
for me to say, let me drop off my child, or maybe call my mom to say, can you
Yeah.
come for a few days, my mother-in-law, like just call people
Mm-hmm.
who are available to help. I think that's one of the things that is missing. Also, the services are cheaper here. Abroad, if you want to have a nanny, you can have a
So
nanny as long
expensive.
as you can pay for it. Or
Yeah.
like I did have a nanny when I was abroad, but it was not a full-time nanny. I
Yeah.
just, it was one of those things that I needed to do to give me sanity. So
Yeah.
I had a nanny for 3 hours every Saturday. During that
Mm-mm.
3 hours, I will probably go for a coffee myself, just sit and have a coffee, or just run an errand all by myself without pulling a baby.
Yeah.
So it's part of what I mean by putting systems in place that
Mm-hmm.
even while in Cameroon, if you can afford a nanny just to do one particular thing that feels you time to just
Yeah.
be yourself, do the things that you love, even if it's doing makeup or if it's just going to an errand
Yeah.
by yourself, do it. If it's for you to ask for help, ask it. Because I think that one of the things that we as mom we have is
Mm-hmm.
this perfectionist syndrome, and this, we over worry, like we
Yeah.
worry about everything. I have a friend who used to say that even each time I leave my child with my child's dad, I still worry that he will
Hmm.
not feed the child the way I want him to feed the child. Like we have this issue of, I don't think this person can take care of my child. I don't think this
Yeah.
person will be able to feed my child. I don't think. I remember when abroad, my daughter was in a daycare. I mean, she had a lot of things. She would go. She had daycare from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. So when I'm going to work, I drop her off at the daycare. And I remember a colleague asking me that, oh, aren't you worried that she's in the daycare? She's so tiny. Why are you putting her in the daycare? Like, aren't you worried? I'm like, why? Why should I worry? I mean, I pay a lot of money for them to take care of
Yeah.
her. So why don't you go and even spy and see how? I'm like, why? Oh wow, you're so. I'm like, no,
What do they expect you to do?
what do you want me to do? She if there's an emergency, I will be called. There's no need for me to be panicking. So
Yeah.
it still comes back to the point where when I move the card of any role, I remove it and keep it aside. So if my daughter is at the daycare, she's at the daycare. I am no
Yeah.
longer responsible for her except there is an emergency. So that
Mm-hmm.
I have to go to work. Once I clock out of work, I am no longer opening my laptop. I
Yeah.
am picking my daughter
Picking.
from
Yeah.
daycare and I'm becoming a mom. When she goes to bed, then I pick up my phone and call my husband and I become a wife. So it was
No.
more or less like putting everything in place to say, you cannot invite me out for dinner beyond 8 p.m. I won't come because my daughter has a strict schedule that
Wow.
I need to stick to it. So it still comes back to that village and just putting in place boundaries. I would
Mm-hmm.
say that, bring people up to speed to your boundaries,
Yeah.
because without those boundaries, people would always think
Yeah.
that it's easy for them to come in and go. So it's
Wow.
and now that I'm back home, I work remotely, so it's a bit easier for me to have an eye on my daughter, even though she has a nanny as well. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there are two of them now, so I am able to see them, but that still doesn't mean that I put away my nanny hat or my mom hat and say, oh, they are with their nanny.
Yeah.
Except I hear a loud cry that I really
Yes.
cannot bear. Then I'd be like, okay, what's going on? How can I help? So
Wow.
yeah.
Motherhood is all about
Yeah.
creating systems that
It's
work.
it's it's about
And you
systems.
see that the same formula that you had when it came to your career, you've brought it
Yes.
into. So school is not a scam.
No, school is not. Anyone who says school is a scam did not even go to school.
Yeah. Thank
Um,
you.
the fact that they say I remember I know people always say all the X and Y's that we've been finding in school, where has the Y, like how has it helped us? It's because you haven't sat down and thought about it critically to say maybe that complex solution, like this
Yeah.
is the complex problems that we have.
Yeah.
It must not come in the form of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
It's this, uncertainties that we have, that we need to sit and look for the solutions, to mitigate them. So those are the X, Y, and Z. So if you look at it critically, you see that the X, Y, and Z's that you've been, asked to solve in secondary school, it's still the same X,
It's
Y,
still the
and
same.
Z's.
Yeah.
But then now you're looking at it from a different spectrum or from a different dimension. So whoever says school is scam didn't
They
actually
actually
go
didn't
to
go to
school.
school. We actually have an amazing guest, and she's the best of both worlds. Okay, because apart from being a full-time professional, working in the international space, a mom, a wife, she's a content creator. She's a full-time gardener, and she's a passionate cook. Oh my goodness. I'm always seeing like recipes, banana cake, all this. I even feel like you're very good like with pastries and things like that. So tell us about your passions. What's the root of these passions, and the kind of things you like are motherly things, growing peppers,
Yeah.
growing cucumbers, cooking. Like, what's the root of this passion?
I I I wouldn't say I don't know. I mean, I asked my mom once and she said, "Oh, you have always liked the kitchen from the word go." Like my mom says I've always liked the kitchen since I was 3 or 4 thereabouts. So I've always been in the kitchen. So the kitchen is really my favorite place. But I think beyond that childhood knowledge, I think there is something I'm just a nurturer. Let me
Yeah.
call it that way. I'm just a nurturer, and I like making people happy through food. I really like giving food,
Yeah.
cooking, and I don't mind if I cook and I don't eat, but like I
Yeah.
really just like trying new things.
So
Sometimes I
motherly.
make my new recipe. Like if you always watch my status, like there's a new hot flavor thing showing up at 10 p.m. and you're asking, what is this girl doing in the kitchen at 10 p.m.? Like I just, oh, maybe I should try this, and I tried that. I also remember someone telling me when I was still with, like way back without babies or husband, the person was like, "Oh, you like kitchen like this and all you're doing. Are you sure when you get married you have time to do all of this?" I'm
Hmm.
like anyway. Now I'm married with 2 kids and I'm still doing the same things that I did back then. It's just to say that it's just something that I like doing. And I always say it's kitchen is my therapy. If I feel stressed,
Yeah.
I think I just go to the kitchen and I do 1 or 2 things that make me happy. Like it's always just it's like I'm talking to my therapist. And then the issues around gardening, I don't know. The two going,
Yeah. They
they're
actually
brothers
go
and
hand in
sisters. They go
hand.
hand in hand. I like gardening.
But
I
gardening
like,
takes a little bit longer
of course, and that's
to
where
see the
it
results.
teaches you patience. It teaches you I think gardening actually teaches you a lot of life lessons like patience, to see something that you start from,
Mm-hmm.
just a tiny little seed grow up to be something flourishing. In a, I think it also allows you to um acknowledge God in a separate, in a special way, to be like,
Yeah.
oh wow, how, like I don't know, like there's just this fulfillment each time I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, this is my tiny seed of paper. Look at, I have been harvesting you for the last, wow,
And you're
wow,
eating your own food like from the ground.
exactly. Yeah,
When I'm just looking at your life now, as as we're having this conversation and you're explaining everything, I'm just like, everything is just, you're living a purposeful life. I don't know if you've noticed it from your job, from the kids you have, from your passions, everything is just aligned. Like, it's just like such an intentional alignment. And I cannot wait to see the things that God has in store for you, because I feel like you're on the way to become like a great person.
thank
I don't
you.
know how that is going to play out, but I also have this tradition on Hear Her Voice to ask people where they see themselves in 5 years, because we will come back to this video and we'll listen to it maybe in 5 years time when you probably be interviewed on like a very big platform. We'll come back to this video to hear what you have to say.
Um, I earlier said that I think in my previous life I used to be very strategic and I had like a 10-year plan of how I want my life to unfold and 5-year plan, short term, medium, long term plan. But I think as I have matured in my role in my professional career and being, just a full blown woman, I would say, I think I've moved away from having this 10-year plan to like, what is it that how do I want to see myself in, like, I don't know if that's a right framing, but like how do I want to see myself in the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? What is it that I need to do to become this so and so
Yeah.
person? And let me come back to your question of with you. From our conversation, it looks like my life is picture perfect. I don't think my life is picture perfect.
Yeah, I understand.
It's not picture perfect, but it sounds picture perfect.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of mental work that has gone behind my life sounding like a picture perfect life. I remember there was a phase in my life when I was like, each time I get um misfortune, for lack of a better word, I would say, Lord, what do you want me to learn in this season?
Yeah, that's actually the right question to ask.
So I actually moved away from quite like looking at the negatives to say, oh, this happened, but like, okay, in this season, what do you want me to learn? And I push my gaze to maybe some of the things that are going on that I need to work on, that I need to learn, that I need to, so that has permitted me to not dwell on the negatives, but like look at the positive. What
Positive,
is it
yeah.
in this space that I can learn? What is it that I can do? I mean, it also helps us, not as also as mom, as professionals, to just be like, how do I want to raise my girls? Sometimes I discipline them and I be like, when I go back at night, I'm like, this way of discipline, was it the right way of doing this? So it's
Yeah.
more or less just asking these questions to ourselves to say, what is it that we need to do differently to be better persons for
Yeah.
our kids, for ourselves? I know sometimes we tend to want to focus everything on our kids, but they say happy mom is a happy child. But then we look at it from that space. I'm not dodging away from answering your question about 5-year plan, but
Yeah.
just to say that I these days I tend to go one step at a
At a
time,
time. Okay.
one day at a time, to say what is it that I need to do. How do I want to be the minister of so and so? What how does it come? What systems do I need to put in place to be this minister? Do I need to take a step back and just, rest? Because sometimes you take a step back
Yeah.
from all the hustle and bustling just to think about if this thing is actually what I should be doing. So I think in this phase of my life,
Yeah.
I would say I have taken a step back, um, to have a reset, if that's the right word.
Okay.
I have taken a step back to have a reset, to rethink whether or not this career path is what I want to pursue in the next 5 or 10 years, or it's time for me to try something else. Or
Okay.
so it's more I'm in that phase of yeah, maybe 5 to 10 years I would be doing something different, completely
Okay.
different from what I'm doing now. But
Amazing.
it's a work in progress. Let's see
Okay.
what that 10 years will look like.
Let's see what the 10 years will look like. But whatever it's going to be, I know it's going to be something great. Because though it may not be picture perfect, nobody has a perfect life, but there are traces. Because most times when you want to, people are always like, oh, what's my passion? What do I like doing? And I always recommend that, okay, you always need to look at like the traces. What are some of those
Yeah.
things that you can do for free? You can, when you're doing it, you feel
Yeah.
so, happy
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing, I think I had read a book, The Purpose Driven Life by Pastor Rick, and he had mentioned that there is no pain that happens to you just like that. Even your pain has purpose
Yeah.
written on it, and it's so amazing. We're drawing towards the close of this conversation, and I'm really so excited. I love this conversation. It's so inspiring. Um, to know that you've turned out like this. But most times we always have people that inspire us, right? People that when we're growing up, we're looking at them and we're like, wow, this person is so amazing. Or some people that we did not like the way they were and we're like, I will never be like this. But anyway, I want us to focus on the people
Yeah.
who have inspired you. Maybe you can name like maybe 3 women in your life that have inspired you. Or if they're not women, it's fine.
Um, so I don't know. Like, I think one of the people that have inspired me is my grandmother. I grew up with my grandmother, and she, even though she didn't see the four walls of the classroom, she was one of my biggest supporter of, oh, you have to go to school. I could ask her for any book and she would buy. But if I asked for a new dress, she wouldn't buy. So it was like,
She did well.
yes. So if whatever I needed in school, she would give. Yeah. So she really inspired me to say, you don't have, even if you don't have what it takes, you can always push someone else to become better than what you are.
Yeah.
So she's really inspired me in that light of, my mom as well. My mom recently became a widow, but I think she has been very selfless in the way she brought us up, in the way she brought up my cousins and all of that. So that's selflessness in her, and just wishing the best for everyone and making sure that no matter what you do to my mom, especially for her direct kids,
Yeah.
she would be angry, but she will still go and pray for you.
Wow.
So she will still call you out, do things and say words to you, but then she will still be like, she will still pray for you. So it's that kind of selflessness and dedication to one's own that really inspires me to do the things that I want to do. And then before I became a mom, I wanted to do it. I think I had this knowledge of saying my parents did brace us up with the knowledge that they had. And I read this book. What's the name of that book? I can't remember the title, but it was just about taking stock of how you were raised and how you want to raise.
Yeah.
So you just put in like a balance sheet and say, okay, when I was growing up, I wanted to hug my mom. I didn't
Yeah.
have this hug, but I want my children to have this
Yeah.
hug. So it's comparing my mom and my grandmom just gives me that, okay, I really like the way they did this, but I
Yeah.
also want to improve in this, so and so. So that those two
Those are
people have
the
really been
two.
inspiring. Professionally, I mean, in different seasons of your life, you have different people that
I
have
know.
inspired you.
Yeah.
I think in very, very early days in university, I used to like Condoleezza Rice. She was a congresswoman in the United States. For some
Yeah.
reason, I just liked her because she was very
A
work
black woman
oriented.
in
Yes, she
American
was a black
politics.
woman in the American politics. She was so dedicated to her job.
Yeah.
And I think that dedication to her job, I didn't read much about her. I just liked her. Like I just liked how dedicated she was in her job. And yeah, I think I bring along that dedication to my job in that I try my best to make
Yeah.
sure that I deliver. I like, yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
most recently, I have one of my previous supervisors.
yeah.
She's a fantastic human being. I
Mm-hmm.
think one lesson that I learned from her, she was like, be kind. Whatever you are, whatever you do, just be kind, because in kindness there's so many things that come out of kindness. So this particular person has really changed the way I see things, how I see people, how I
Yeah.
interact, how I go to bed thinking about what has happened throughout the day.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So we've come to the end of the show. We had such an amazing conversation, and one thing that I'm taking away from this conversation is to build systems, to thrive as a mom, especially a working mom, and to also be intentional
Yeah.
with your life. Like if there's any young person who is watching the show right now, you have to be intentional. Any young woman watching this show, yeah, some people are lucky, but most times you need to position yourself to receive your luck.
Yes.
Be intentional about the things you want to achieve in life and just see how things are going to turn out. So, do you have any final thoughts, any final advices you like to share to maybe moms who are abroad, Cameroonian moms who are abroad, and maybe their family is here, or just any general advice for motherhood?
General advice for motherhood. I mean, I have just two kids. I wouldn't say I have 10 years experience in motherhood.
Just that's a lot.
I mean, just in the sense that they are still young. So my
Yes,
experience in motherhood is like 4 years.
yes.
Unlike 10 people have, adults, they
Mm-hmm.
have more, knowledge on this. But for someone who has lived both worlds, like being abroad and being home,
Yeah,
I would say no matter where you are, it's good to always just have a system. I keep going back to the word system. What works for me might not work for you.
yeah,
It's important that you understand what is it, you understand your environment, what is it that I need to do, how can I do it better? Is there someone to, I mean, always ask for help. If there is help, ask for it, because we always shy away from asking for help and carrying all the burden, but it's good to ask for help. And if you understand your environment and you see where you can ask for help, how where you can outsource in the
yeah.
sense of asking for help, ask for help. The 30 minutes that someone is probably holding your baby or taking care of your baby and you just sitting down to eat all by yourself, it's a lot for you as a person. So
Mm-hmm.
I think my advice is just try to find a way to not forget yourself in the process of being a mother. And for if you have to juggle motherhood and career, try to strike a balance, whatever that means by striking a balance.
Yeah,
But you cannot do it all at the same time. It can only be one Azinwi in one place.
yeah.
So if you need to work, work. If it's time for your child, it's time for your child. So if you say, I have 10 minutes for my child per day, if it's the 10 minutes for the child, give it the 10 minutes to the child. So let Azinwe be in one place at one
At a
time, at a
time.
time. So
Yeah.
don't be that's where you see maybe your career would you have issues, and then even at home you'll have baked. So it's good to just figure out, give it, yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. I feel so privileged, having this conversation with you
Me too.
today. And I pray that you get clarity on the things that you want to do. And we are going to be here again to talk
Yes,
about
we will be
it.
here to update you on how far we've gone. But yeah, it's really been nice. I've been looking forward to this conversation, and I think this is the beginning for me to talk about my experience and share with everyone who wants to
Yeah,
hear on what it is that we face as women who are trying to navigate motherhood and career
and
at the same time,
career.
especially in this digital age.
Mm.
So, yeah.
All right. So thank you so much for joining us for today's show. I'm going to drop Azinwi's information. If you want to know more from her, she's on Instagram, she's on TikTok, and she has a YouTube channel. I'm going to allow her information in the description box, and you can check out to learn more. And obviously, to expect more content from her in the coming days. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.